The vast expanse of the Milky Way shimmered with the light of millions of stars, each one a silent witness to the rise and fall of civilizations. Among them, the Valor Dominion reigned supreme. For centuries, their fleets patrolled the spiral arms, enforcing law through strength. They had fought hundreds of wars and crushed hundreds of species that dared resist their rule. To the Dominion, conquest was a language older than peace. The supreme admiral of the Dominion, Kareth, stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Vanguard Prime. Before him stretched the holographic projection of the battlefield, an empty star system on the edge of known space. The system was unnamed, unimportant except for one small blue world that had recently come alive with signals. "Report," he ordered, his voice deep and calm. The sensor officer turned from her console. "Long-range scans confirm multiple metallic structures on the planet's surface, Admiral. Energy readings are consistent with early industrial technology, perhaps barely space age. A primitive species," Kareth nodded slowly, "and yet they refuse to respond to the Dominion's hail." "Correct, Admiral. We sent 12 hails on all frequencies. No reply." Kareth's second-in-command stepped forward. "Perhaps they are too primitive to understand the message." Kareth's crimson eyes narrowed. "Or they understand it and chose silence." He stared at the rotating image of the planet. Its surface was covered in oceans and continents, green and blue. It looked peaceful, but Kareth had seen peace hide danger before. Still, the Dominion had never faced anything it could not dominate. Their fleets numbered in the tens of thousands, each ship armed with plasma cannons capable of melting moons. He gave the order without hesitation. "We will make contact through demonstration. Prepare orbital strike vessels." A chorus of confirmations echoed across the bridge. Within minutes, a fleet of 300 Dominion ships took position around the small planet. They were sleek and curved, designed for intimidation as much as for destruction. Their energy cores hummed like thunder waiting to break. "Begin bombardment." Lances of blue fire fell from orbit. The atmosphere shimmered as plasma bolts burned through it, striking the surface in flashes that could be seen from space. Yet the planet's defense response was non-existent. No ships, no counterfire, no attempt to resist. The officers exchanged puzzled looks. Then something happened. The bombardment stopped mid-command. Every Dominion ship's targeting system went dark. Sensors flickered and died. Communication channels filled with static. "Admiral," the communications officer stammered, "all systems are being overridden. Some kind of signal originating from the planet itself." Kareth's eyes widened. "Override it?" "We're trying, but it's rewriting our core codes. It's not just hacking our network. It's rewriting the ship's operating logic." A low hum filled the bridge. The stars outside the viewport seemed to dim, and then, from the planet below, hundreds of lights rose through the atmosphere. They were faint at first, barely visible against the void, but soon grew brighter. The tactical officer gasped. "Multiple objects ascending from the surface. Unknown configuration. Their speed is impossible for planetary launch." On the screen, the dots multiplied, spreading in perfect formation. There were hundreds, thousands. Kareth clenched his fists. "Identify them." No transponder signals. No life signs aboard. They seem automated. "Automated?" "Yes, Admiral. But not like drones. Their hull composition is beyond any known alloy. It's as if the ships are grown rather than built." The alien fleet closed in. Kareth ordered his ships to open fire. 300 Dominion warships unleashed their plasma cannons in a synchronized barrage that could vaporize an asteroid belt. The space between the fleets turned white with energy discharge. When the light cleared, the approaching formation remained untouched. The alien vessels, sleek, dark, and eerily silent, glided forward without so much as a flicker of damage. "They survived that?" whispered the tactical officer. Kareth's voice hardened. "All ships recalibrate weapons and fire again." Another barrage. Same result. The first of the alien ships returned fire, but instead of the blinding plasma bolts common to the Dominion, they emitted beams of white light that struck silently, almost gently. Every Dominion ship touched by that light simply vanished. No explosion, no debris, only emptiness where metal and life had been. Within minutes, entire squadrons were erased. Kareth stood in frozen disbelief. "This is impossible. We outnumber them 100 to 1. No one answered. One of the Dominion battleships tried to flee. As it accelerated, the alien fleet shifted and a single beam struck its engines. It disappeared instantly. Another ship attempted to ram an enemy vessel, but its hull disintegrated before contact. The Dominion fleet, once unstoppable, was reduced to chaos. Command channels were filled with screams and static. Kareth watched as his tactical display turned from blue to red to nothing at all. The communications officer shouted, "Incoming transmission, Admiral!" From the planet. "Put it through." The holographic display shimmered. A figure appeared, humanoid, pale, wearing a simple gray uniform with no insignia. Behind him, a flag hung in the background, a circle of blue and white with green continents. "This is Commander Elias of Earth Defense Command," the figure said calmly. "You have attacked our world without provocation. Your fleet is neutralized. Further aggression will be met with final measures." Kareth's voice trembled for the first time in his career. You are the humans?" "Yes. Your world was not on any star chart. The Council believed your species extinct. The humans' expression remained unchanged. Beliefs are fragile things." The transmission cut off. In orbit, the remaining Dominion ships were surrounded. The human vessels, if they could be called that, formed a perfect sphere around them, each one motionless but radiating an invisible pressure that made even the air on Kareth's bridge feel heavy. Kareth looked to his officers. "Signal retreat. All surviving ships jump to hyperspace." The helmsman shook his head. "Hyperdrives are offline. They've locked us out of our own systems." Kareth's gaze fell to the viewport again. "Then we negotiate," he opened a channel. To the human commander. "We wish to—" Before he could finish, space tore open beside the Vanguard Prime. From the rift emerged a single vessel, larger than any in the Dominion fleet. It dwarfed even the flagship, its hull covered in lines of shifting light. It was not painted or armed in the traditional sense, it was the weapon. Sensors could not measure its size properly. Its surface bent light and time around it. The communications officer whispered, "It's not in the system registry. Not in any galactic record." Kareth's heart sank. "Then it is new." A voice came through every Dominion channel simultaneously. "You brought your armadas to our sky. You sought to test humanity's silence. You have your answer." The massive human vessel rotated slowly. Its underbelly opened, revealing an array of glowing lines that aligned with mathematical precision. Then, in a single instant, every Dominion ship except the Vanguard Prime ceased to exist. No explosion, no light. Only absence. The space around the human vessel rippled as it folded its wings, if they could be called wings, and descended back toward the blue planet, leaving behind the broken remains of the Dominion's greatest fleet. Kareth fell to his knees. The bridge was silent except for the hum of failing systems. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "What are they?" No one answered. Hours later, the Vanguard Prime drifted away from the system, allowed to leave. Every surviving crew member knew it was not mercy. It was a warning. The humans had chosen to let them live so they could carry a message, and so Kareth carried it. When he returned to the Dominion capital, the Council demanded an explanation. In a hall filled with the galaxy's most powerful leaders, he told them the truth. "We outnumbered them 100 to 1, he said, and still lost completely." The chamber erupted with disbelief. One counselor slammed his fist against the table. "You expect us to believe that a forgotten species from a backwater planet destroyed an entire armada?" Kareth's eyes burned with haunted memory. Not destroyed, erased. There was no battle. There was no resistance. They decided we would lose, and we did. The Council demanded proof. Kareth handed over the only surviving sensor recordings, data fragments captured before the Dominion systems collapsed. The recordings showed energy readings beyond measurable range, physics behaving as though rewritten by will alone. One scientist studied the data for hours before stepping back in terror. "This technology violates natural law. It's not even possible within our understanding of matter." Kareth looked at them all. "Then perhaps your understanding is too small." For weeks, the Council debated whether to retaliate or retreat. Pride urged them to gather more fleets to strike again with overwhelming force. But those who saw the recordings refused to go near human space. Word spread through the galaxy. Whispers among traders, smugglers, and explorers spoke of the blue world that had awakened. Some claimed to have seen massive ships orbiting its moons, silent guardians larger than continents. Others swore that human probes had begun appearing in distant sectors, scanning and vanishing before they could be intercepted. No one could explain how a species once believed primitive could wield power greater than the oldest empires. Some said the humans had hidden their growth for centuries, evolving in silence. Others believed they had uncovered secrets buried deep in the universe's fabric, secrets not